The former MUM leader says there were 6 attempts to murder him during the miners' strike.
Someone shooting at me as I enter my home. Someone trying to stab me. Someone sending me a bomb.
And he claims government security services were behind the murder attempt. His revelations came during a rare public appearance at a speech in Barnsley last night. He spoke to our political editor, Len Tingle.
Not one cobble of coal would have gone if I'd have had my way.
He's almost 78, over 30 years from the year-long strike. But former miners' leader Arthur Scargill has lost none of his anger, though he's rarely been seen in public in recent years. This was a meeting in Barnsley last night calling for a full inquiry into the police handling of pickets at Orgreave in 1984. Then came this.
6 attempts on my life. Someone shooting at me as I enter my home. Someone trying to stab me. Someone sending me a bomb. I am always questioning who was responsible for it. The investigators might have been the ones that were the perpetrators.
So you think this was state-orchestrated violence directed against you to shut you up?
It wouldn't be the first time, would it? You've only got to look at the situation, say, in Ireland, and the admissions that have been made about the actions of the Secret Service operating within the ranks of organisations. And therefore, I'm surprised that you're surprised that anything like this could happen.
The former miners' leader says the attempts on his life and the controversial violence involving massed pickets and police at the Orgreave coking plant in South Yorkshire were all part of what he says was an illegal conspiracy racked up in the first few months of what became a year-long strike from the spring of 1984. It was because the pickets were close to shutting down the entire steel industry by denying it vital fuel supplies.
I've been calling for a public inquiry ever since Orgreave took place in 1984.
But the Independent Police Commission said that really, even if there were offences committed, then really they couldn't prosecute them because of the time difference.
That statement by the IPCC, quite frankly, demonstrates to me that they're an instrument of the establishment. And quite honestly, I've got nothing but contempt for what they've done, or more importantly, failed to do.
Arthur Scargill himself was arrested by the authorities at Orgreave in a blaze of publicity, but his claim that he was also the target of 6 separate assassination attempts has come as a surprise to senior Conservative politicians at the time.
I find that surprising, but of course I don't know whether that's fact or not, but certainly all the time I was involved with talking to miners, going to pits and things like that, I never heard anybody mention that. I can imagine that a few people at that time might have thought about it, and they were just his young miners who wanted to go to work.
Arthur Scargill says he's now writing his own account of the strike, which will correct many misconceptions.
Well, let's get more on this now with Len. Extraordinary allegations there about state-orchestrated attempts on his life. What did you make of them?
Well, Arthur Scargill reckons that these incidents happened for the same reason that, in his opinion, the police used heavy-handed tactics, that you saw there on the film, at Orgreave. And the reason for that was because the cabinet, and Margaret Thatcher among them, was scared the miners in those early months of the strike were actually winning, that they were going to cut off all supplies to the steel industry, which is a big strategic industry for the UK, and they had to stop that at all costs. Now, we do know about the fact that the cabinet was worried because there were cabinet papers released after 30 years under the so-called 30-year rule. Unfortunately for Arthur Scargill in making these allegations, there's no mention in any of those papers about any assassination attempt on him, either discussed or ordered.
He hasn't mellowed much, has he? Why now with this appearance and this interview? Because I can't remember the last time I've seen Arthur Scargill in a public appearance.
It's interesting, it's 15 years since I last interviewed him, and I was trying to remember the last time that I saw him make a barnstorming speech like this, and it was in the miners' strike. It was that long ago. He's come forward because he says that he's disgusted by the way that the Independent Police Complaints Commission has just dismissed any suggestion that there should be an investigation into Orgreave, so that's why he's come forward. Though you saw that he was under the banner of a political party there. Well, that's his own political party. He's been busy conducting litigation on his behalf against the current leadership of the NUM for the past 10 years. That's kind of died down. I think we're going to see a bit more of Arthur Scargill.
Glenn, thank you very much. And you can see more on that story on Sunday Politics. The new series starts this Sunday at 1:30.